Right guys, now we've finished our header off, let's move down the page to the menu. Now before I go any further, I'm going to save my project by clicking on the little disk icon at the top there, or I can also go to File and then Save as well. That'll do the same job. So once my little cursor disappeared, that will make sure that my Artisteer project file is saved. I could have just gone to File, Save, and it would have saved it for us. But if I'd have just closed Artisteer at that point, it wouldn't have saved everything I've done in the header. Okay, moving on to the menu. What's probably a good idea before we start styling the menu is to make sure all the buttons that we want are on it. At the moment I have, see in the little site navigator here, I have a home page, and when you wave over it I've got 3 sub-pages which are just built in to Artisteer in the first place. If I click on this little arrow next to the home page, it shows that there's 3 sub-pages to the home page. Generally you don't have sub-pages for your home page, so I'm just going to right click on each of these and delete them. So we're sure we want to remove them, yes. We might have sub-pages of, say, a services page or a products page, but not the home page, because that's supposed to be a gateway to the rest of the site. Right, there we go. So now when I wave over that, there's no sub-menu. And because this project is me recreating the Web Catalyst website, I'm going to create the menu that's relevant to that. So other than home page, I'm going to go to the Home tab, because that's where I create new pages. So I can click on this, or I can also right click here and go to New Page, which will do the same job, and create me a new page. And the first one I might want, if I was, say, a local business, just right click on this, rename, might be a Contact Us page, say. There we go, that automatically adds the menu button for us. And maybe add another one called About Us, and that'll add another one. We can click and drag these pages to change the order of them, so that we get them in the right order. I'm a big fan of making your navigation as clear as possible, so I'm just going to add a few more pages here. I'm going to use this button instead now. I'm going to call this page What It Is, because that might be a question in someone's mind when they come to the Web Catalyst website. What you might notice as I'm adding pages here, it's upsetting this slogan up here. You're not really supposed to have your slogans on 2 lines, but it is possible. So what I'm going to do, instead of continually correcting this, I'm just going to leave it like that until I'm finished doing this, and then I'll put it back again and save it. These are little bugs that you might find with layouts, and you just have to kind of work with them. So the next page, I'm going to add new page and call it What It Does. Click and drag it up here. So this might be the decision making process for people. What it is, what it does. And I call the last one Why You Need It. Remember, people online have got a very short attention span. You need to catch their attention as soon as possible. So these kinds of menu buttons are entirely appropriate for that, because it's just plain and simple, straight to the point, which is what people want when they're online and they've got no patience. So say that was my completed menu, but I don't quite like the styling of it at the moment. I don't like the font, it's too small, it's not readable enough. So that brings me up to the menu section at the top. So my first option is to go for the Suggest feature to generate a brand new menu at random. I don't particularly want to do that because it's not that far away from the menu that I want. It's got the right colouring, it's in the right position, but it just needs a few tweaks to it. So I wouldn't use that because it would generate a whole new menu. Like we discussed in the layout section, you've got another opportunity here to change the position of the menu. So take the menu away completely. If you just wave over each option, you can preview it outside, if you want it right at the top, if you want it with a gap above it. I'm quite happy with the position it's in, so I'll just leave it as it is. That's fine. You've got an opportunity here to change the length again, whether have it the width of the site or whether to have it width of the whole page, which that will stretch, so it gives it a definite dividing line between the header and the main page. I think that looks silly for my particular site that I'm working on, so I'm just going to leave it at sheet width. You've then got a margin option. If you want some space in between where the header zone formally finishes and the menu zone formally begins, you can just select some kind of spacing there and you can preview it like this. I think it's pretty fine as it is. You can be very precise with this. If you don't like the built-in settings of 10, 20, 30 pixels, you can go down to the more margins option and it will open this thing on the right hand side, and you can just literally do it 1 pixel at a time if you wish, like that, up another one until it's absolutely perfect. In my case, I'm happy with the way it is, so I'm just going to leave it on 0. Then we come to the major menu styles section. If we drop this down, we can just preview all the different menu styles. So that's kind of a thin one. That one's got a white background with a particular type of button. That's one version of a tab menu. So you can see it's got a background. You can see what the normal menu button color is, and you can also see the page that you're on, how the button will behave, because you see why you need it is in white, so it shows you where you actually are now. So we're looking for clarity here. We want visitors to be able to clearly see, if I want to change from this page I'm on to another page, where's the menu? And even if they might have seen it, it just needs to be obvious where it is. It needs to stand out, because when they first visit the site, they're never going to have seen it before, so they need to be a clear reference point to the menu. For me, I would say having a black background for me on this site is a good idea, because it's got a high contrast. It's distinctly different from the background color of the site. If I went for something like that, those menu buttons, what it does, might get mistaken unconsciously just for another bit of text on the page, and people might scramble around to find the menu. So something like that, it's nice and bold. I'm actually going to keep that one, because this one has the black background. It clearly shows which page I'm on, and also it kind of fades the others into the background. Yeah, it's not perfect yet, but this is an overall better style than I had. I play with all this stuff. You can play with everything here. Like, you can change the background color of the menu and all that good stuff. But I mean, you can spend hours and hours tweaking it. But don't go for a style that you personally like. Just keep focused on the fact that this needs to be clear for the website visitor. It needs to be distinctly different colors, so it's easy for people to see where they're at and then where to go next. So play around with all this stuff. You can change anything, like the border colors, the texture of the menu. You can change everything. So if you want to know what something does, just wave over it. Like, change the shape of the buttons if you want to, and all that stuff. So just play around with it until you're happy. This is one thing I should mention to you. There's 3 different states that a menu button can be in. There's active, passive, and hovered. So active is where we are now, which is where that why you need it page is highlighted. And if we were on the what it does page, then that would be the active button. So it shows people where you are now. Passive is the other buttons, the ones that aren't clicked on, and the ones we're not currently on those pages. So that's that one. And finally, the hovered. So see, at the moment I've got a grey action going on here. You want those 3 different states to be, again, distinctly different from each other, because it just needs to be so clear to people and easy to use where they should go. So I'm quite happy with the way this is working. I like the fact that the grey button and the black is a good contrast, so it's clear to see.